Acts chapter 1. Today's reflection focuses on Acts chapter 1, which documents the birth and background of the Jerusalem church. Acts begins with a dedication to a man named Theophilus, whose exact identity remains unknown, though he is speculated to have been a high-ranking Roman official. His name, meaning beloved of God or friend of God, implies he may have been a Roman or other Gentile who embraced the gospel. The author of Acts addresses this letter to instruct Theophilus about the resurrection and ascension of Jesus, and to recount the events that followed, thus earning the book its title, Acts of the Apostles. In Acts 1, Jesus commands his disciples to remain in Jerusalem. This instruction was significant, as Jerusalem had long been the focal point of God's redemptive work, marking the starting point for the gospel to spread globally, and as the place where the Holy Spirit would descend following Jesus' ascension. Jerusalem, associated with Abraham's near sacrifice of Isaac on Mount Moriah, and foreseen as the site of the Jerusalem temple, was symbolic of the true Jerusalem, where God's faithful people would ultimately gather. In verse 6, the disciples ask Jesus if he would now restore the kingdom to Israel, indicating their focus on Israel's liberation from Roman rule, rather than understanding Jesus' mission to deliver humanity from sin and death. This reflects their still limited perspective before experiencing the presence of the Holy Spirit. Jesus answers that the timing belongs to the Father's authority, urging them instead to wait for the Holy Spirit, who would empower them to be his witnesses from Jerusalem to the ends of the earth. The rest of the chapter, verses 12 to 26, describes the filling of Judas Iscariot's place among the 12 apostles by selecting Matthias. The significance of maintaining the number 12 lies in the symbolic completeness it held for the Jews, representing the 12 tribes of Israel, established by Jacob's sons. This symbolism of completeness likely drove the decision to restore the number of apostles to 12. Peter, addressing the 120 believers present, asserts that Judas's betrayal was prophesied in Psalms, specifically Psalm 109:8, which speaks of shortening the life of the wicked, and Psalm 69:25, which calls for the desolation of the enemy's habitation. Judas's betrayal fulfilled these prophecies as he returned the 30 pieces of silver, later used by the priest to buy a burial field for foreigners, resulting in a neglected and desolate grave, fulfilling the psalmist's words. Peter proposes choosing a replacement for Judas by casting lots. Though this method might seem unusual, casting lots had been a long-standing way of discerning God's will in the Old Testament. After Pentecost, however, there is no record of the practice being used again, as the Holy Spirit began guiding believers directly. Thus, while waiting in the upper room, the disciples prepared to receive the promised Holy Spirit by restoring the 12 apostles and praying together.
구독, 좋아요, 알림 설정 해주세요. Subscribe, like, set notifications.